I want you to get together.
I was in the Telegram chat and somebody shared with me this really disgusting link to this website. And now this came around a few years ago now. So maybe I'm late to the game. Maybe you've already heard of this. I am going to guess maybe 90% of you here have not heard of this before, but this is absolutely disgusting. Okay, so what this is a Polish company. And what they do is they create beer. Okay? But they create beer from the yeast generated inside the birth canal of a human female. Okay, I'm trying to say this in the most YouTube friendly way possible. I mean, supposedly, technically, I'm being scientific when I say vaginal yeast, but I don't like saying that. It's pretty awful. But that's what's going on here. They have mastered the science. They have devoted a lot of time to looking for a woman who has all the desired instincts. The goddess we want to put in a bottle. So here they are around the round table looking at porn, basically trying to figure out who's the hottest chick they can find and whose yeast can they extract to make to make beer from. And you know it's science because look at this atom symbol they have right here. You know they're being serious, right? You know this is serious science going on right here, guys. Okay, so they discovered the process of transmitting female essence, as they call it, by isolating lactic acid bacteria from the yoni of a sensuous woman. Paulina, the brunette, Monica, the blonde, and Patricia, the blonde. I think it's Patrycja in Polish, though. I think that's how it's pronounced. So they have these three specific women they've found, and each lager bottle you buy from them is from one of these women. And you can peel back the label. There's only so much I can show you here, by the way, guys, without it just being a huge problem for YouTube, you know. But you can peel back the label, and it gives you all the details on the woman you've selected, the woman's yeast you are sampling. Okay. An essential part of this process is to ensure the safety of our product. So you know they're being serious, guys. Remember, this is science. Look at the symbol here. You know it's science, right? They're really serious about. Look, they've got a chemistry set and everything. All right, and you know they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And you know, during isolation, the material is tested for the absence of other bacteria and viruses. Well, thank the Lord that they're actually checking that it's safe. You know, these procedures prevent other bacteria and viruses from surviving, thus allowing the growth of only lactobacillus bacteria. Once again, in terms of certainty and safety, a final test of the propagated lyophilized bacteria, is that right? Lyophilized bacteria is carried out before use in the preparation of the material. Lyophilized bacteria are tested for the presence of foreign DNA and/or RNA. This ensures that only lactobacillus bacteria are used, and it is completely safe and healthy. So, the gynecologist collects a vaginal smear from the models. These smears are taken to a laboratory where bacteria are isolated, cleaned, and then analyzed and multiplied. At the end of the process, the bacteria are used to produce the pure lactic acid that goes into Yoni beer. Okay, so I hope you're thoroughly disgusted now, because this does not get any better. Because they've made a bit of a cult out of this, okay, and they've given all this absolutely wild, questionable history as to the process of what they're doing here. Okay, so they made a cult out of this, and it says the great goddess, the greatest among gods, feminine deity whose main reincarnations are Aphrodite, Venus, Ishtar, Makosh, and Freya. Thousands of years ago, the great goddesses, worshippers, and priests in almost all cultures and civilizations discovered her sacrament. Ugh, I'm cringing just saying that phrase. Her sacrament. What a joke. Anyway, her divine part lying hidden in her deity's Yoni, priestess of the goddess, had found deities amongst women. So priestesses of this particular goddess Yoni go and find deities that inhabit or have been embodied in particular women that they find. And it's like, you're a manifestation of the goddess Venus. So we are going to take your divine Yoni lactobacillus, your yeast, okay? Because you are a manifestation of a goddess. And it says here, you know, they find the divine sacrament from these women that the priestess chooses, and they combine it with water, malt, and yeast, and create a sour ale. Okay, so this is all history, guys. Trust me, this is all backed up history, right? That's what they're saying here. You know, you got to trust them here. This sour ale, combined with the deity's Yoni lacto, served as the new secret sacrament provided by the great goddess, produced and drunk by her followers, who set up a secret order, the Order of Yoni, which destiny is to worship the goddess by finding her deities and respectfully taking her Yoni lacto, making the sacrament brew, and drinking it. So this is just getting worse, alright? Now, thousands of years after its establishment, the Order still finds descendants of the great goddess, and using modern lab technology it takes, isolates, and multiplies her Yoni sacramental lactobacillus, that's a mouthful, enabling the usage of it in modern breweries. In a safe way, right? Trust us. Thus, the Order offers her divine sacraments, the Yoni brew, enabling people to have contact with the great goddess through her deity's Yoni sacrament. So you got loads of images here, you know, of the deities being worshipped by men, you know, and hints and nods towards her sacrament, as it's called. One of the initial Sumerian branches of the order worshipped the great deity's avatar, Ninhursag. Sumerian kings drank her, quote, milk, but only the order knew that there was no milk, but it was the lactic acid bacteria of her reincarnations. Used by the order's masters in brewing process during Ninhursag's sacrament. Her symbol, looking like the omega letter, symbolizes the vagina, the ark of the lactobacillus. So it seems like whenever they were on their period is when they harvested the particular bacteria that they needed. This is getting worse and worse. The ancient Greek branch of the Order of the Yoni worshipped Aphrodite, the deity of love, passion, pleasure, beauty, and finally, the deity of the Yoni beer. During festivals in her honor, Aphrodisia, members of the order drunk ambrosia, fruit beer made with lactobacillus bacteria of her reincarnations, also known as the nectar. It is believed that Aphrodite was born in the sea foam. Again, it is the influence of the order, whereas the foam symbolizes the Yoni beer's foam. I do not like using the phrase foam while discussing vaginal yeast. The ancient Egyptian branch also existed. They drank the Yoni beer made of reincarnated goddess Isis, or goddess Mat. One of her symbols is the Ankh, where the upper part symbolizes the vagina, and the lower part symbolizes an ear of grain, together giving the Yoni beer. Bit of a stretch, right? So yeah, of course we have the hexagram here, the six-pointed star. Another part of the huge conspiracy that we need to understand, you know, and this symbol turns up everywhere. Hint, hint, by the way, guys, that's why it's my logo. It's because it's what we need to understand the conspiracy. I don't promote this stuff. I am not a follower of the Star of Remphan. I am not a Kabbalistic Jew of any kind, you know. That logo, that symbol, is because that represents the thing you need to get to grips with if you want to understand the conspiracy, okay? I'm a born-again Christian. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I believe he died and rose again for our sins. I believe he is the Son of God. I put my faith in him, okay? That is clear, and I profess that with my mouth, all right? And I'll profess it till I am dead. I would die for his namesake. So make that clear, okay? So moving on from that, another important symbol of the order is a hexagram, known as the Shatkona in the Indian branch of the order, or the Seal of Solomon in the ancient Israeli branch of the order. The symbol consists of two equilateral triangles where one symbolizes femininity and the second one masculinity. It embraces the Yoni beer, where sacramental lactobacillus represents the divine femininity. And the yeast, which are responsible for the alcohol production, symbolizes the male energy. Thus, we can say that the triangles represent both divine feminine and the masculine energy, and the lactobacillus combined with the yeast in the Yoni beer. So I do think, by the way, guys, this is bullshit history they're making up here. I have to make it clear now. None of this is true. They're just literally making this up and saying that there was this secret order that throughout history was drinking the golden bacteria of female birth canals, okay, during their periods. And that you can't find any knowledge anywhere of this history they're supposing that existed, the secret society that existed throughout the millennia. Maybe it did, but you'll be hard pressed to find any historical documents talking about this. All right. Here is the King Solomon of Israel, who was also a master of the order. He discovered that the Queen of Sheba was a deity, a reincarnation of the great goddess to fulfill the Grand Master's destiny. He traveled to Sabah with a simple question. Sorry, this is Sheba, by the way. It's saying Sabah there. The utmost respect, receiving the Queen's Saint Lactobacillus. Back in Jerusalem, he brewed the sacrament, a sour ale with the Queen's lacto. Apparently, the Knights Templar were in on this. They had several members of the order set up a base in the Temple of Solomon's ruins. There they discovered the last remaining bottles of the Queen of Sheba's beer and ancient texts for Solomon's Yoni brew recipes. This is an ancient recipe, guys, straight from Solomon himself. One of the reasons behind why the French King Philip attacked the Templars. His wish was to drink the sacred Yoni beer, including ancient Shiva's beers. So, some of the members of both the Templar and the Yoni orders established some proto-Masonic fraternities, which later led to the Freemasons. So the Freemasons have their roots in this vaginal yeast beer, guys. The symbol square and compass is based on the hexagram, which we showed earlier, which is divine, feminine, and masculine coming together. The V represents the vagina or the vulva. Thus, this Masonic symbol of the square and compass represents the Yoni sacramental drink, naturally. Okay, nothing to do with the grand architect of the universe. Nope, it's a beer brewed by vaginal yeast. And in medieval and Renaissance Europe was full of Yoni's lodges. One of the order's greatest masters was Leonardo da Vinci. His main goddess, the Mona Lisa, also known as Gioconda, he painted her portrait just after drinking her divine sacrament, the Yoni beer, of course. Not that there's any evidence for any of these claims whatsoever, but this is the point, guys. This is what happens when your brain is on new age nonsense. This is what happens when you've been taking or drinking too much of the alchemical Kool-Aid. Okay, this is what happens when you try to reconnect with your pagan pasts and revitalize these old pagan practices into a new age form. You end up drinking beer made of vaginal yeast. Okay, I'd avoid it. This is absolute gibberish, and that's all I can pretty much show you on this website. The rest of it is blatant pornography. So I'm going to go here and show you that Yoni is indeed, it just has its roots in ancient Indian understanding. So Yoni, sometimes called the Pindika, is an abstract or aniconic representation of the Hindu goddess Shakti. It's usually shown with linga, its masculine counterpart. So that's the thing in the middle of the circle there. That's the masculine. Sorry, let's move that. Yes, that thing in the middle is the masculine counterpart to the female counterpart that come together as one. Okay, so that's the Siva Lingam. There you go. That's what this is all based on. This is Hindu understanding. So if we keep scrolling down here and going through some more of this, you can find that the divine eternal process of creation and regeneration is what this is supposed to represent. The macrocosm and the microcosm coming together as one. The masculine and the feminine. The Yoni is conceptualized as nature's gateway to all births, particularly in the esoteric color and tantra practices. So this is based in tantric Hindu practices. And there's Shaktism and Shaivism are traditions in Hinduism which venerate this type of thing. There are temples dedicated to this in Hindu understandings. And as you know, I've kind of hinted at throughout all my videos, the sources for most of Hindu mythology is the veneration of the pantheon of fallen angels. So it's hardly surprising that, you mess around, you find out, you worship fallen angels and demons, you end up drinking vaginal yeast. Is it worth it? I don't think so. Anyway, Yoni is a Sanskrit word that has been interpreted to literally mean womb or the source, and the female organs of generation. It also connotes the female sexual organs such as the vagina, the vulva, the uterus, or alternative to origin abode or source of anything in other contexts. So yeah, there is a religious historicity behind this symbol. It represents basically the symbolic version of creation. The male and female energies coming together for the birth canal, the process, and it's all throughout Hindu iconography. This history they came up with here, that it basically permeates throughout all human history and has been done since the beginning of time, is basically bollocks. But they've had a good go at it. They created this disgusting beer out of it, and they have people out there drinking the bacteria of female birth canals, as they call it, the sacrament, which is pretty disgusting. I would recommend just staying away from the whole divine female energy, new age balance of the chakra alignment, whatever you want to call it, ideology. It leads to this type of nonsense. All right, guys, it really does just lead to this type of nonsense. Leave it out. It's not worth it. I find it interesting that the Yoni mudra, which is a gesture used in meditation in more modern yoga practices, is a symbol we constantly see the Illuminati throwing up, isn't it? Yeah, I think we've seen Donald Trump do this a few times. I'm pretty sure I saw an image of Andrew Tate doing this not so long ago as well. So it's interesting that it's linked to that. Maybe it's a reference to their true androgyne nature. You know what these people are like in their androgynous forms, and their androgyny. They love throwing that in our face, don't they? So maybe that's what it's truly a reference to. Maybe whenever you see a male figurehead chucking this symbol down, maybe what they're trying to tell you is that they're actually a woman. Who knows? Who knows? Just a quick theory out there. Who knows, guys? But there you go. I've shared with you one of the most disgusting things I've ever read in my entire life so far, I think. I'll try my best to avoid the Yoni brew if I'm ever out at a bar, and I hope you will too.
I want you to get together.